Now, if you happen to have read the title of this video, you'll have noticed already that it's going to be about the beta for Battlefield 4, but it's not simply just about the beta. I have some information before that as well, so stay tuned, I've got some info for you. Firstly, want to say thank you to Battle Rush FPS for lending me his BF4 gameplay of the Z11W. He's got some great videos of Battlefield 4 at Gamescom up on his own channel, so there's a link in the description to his channel. First bit of ultra amazing mega news for Battlefield 4 is that there is only going to be one variant of the M16 making a return. It was actually a glitch in the E3 and the Gamescom footage that people have been recording. The M16A3 is being removed from the game. But don't worry, the M16A4 is actually still in it. They just decided to remove the M16A3 simply because in real life it has virtually no recoil, and of course DICE want to make this game as realistic as possible, so in order to do that they had to mimic the gun from real life, and in doing that they created the God gun, and we don't want that, so they've actually removed it from the game. And to prove that I'm not just making this shit up, there's actually a link below to a Pixel Enemy article that's got tweets from Alan Kurtz, the head gameplay designer. You might better know him as Demise99 from his Twitter account. He's the lead gameplay designer for Battlefield franchise. So I know that bit of news is going to make a lot of the M16 tryhards cry, but don't forget the AEK is still in the game. I believe the M416 is still in the game as well, and I'm sure there's going to be another God gun in Battlefield 4 for you to use, so don't worry about that. On to my second bit of news, and this may make the new generation console guys weep a little bit, but I'm about to read out the recommended requirements for Battlefield 4 on the PC. DICE is recommending using Windows 8, and of course the reason why is because it's more optimised than Windows 7 and it's currently a newer model, so why would they build it on an old version of the Windows software. Moving on to the RAM, we're looking at 8 GB of RAM. That's recommended. The minimum is 4 GB of RAM. In terms of processors, you're looking at an Intel quad-core CPU and an AMD 6-core CPU, which pretty much ties in with what we were expecting. However, the minimum requirements for this, and get this is an old CPU, AMD Athlon X2 at 2.8 GHz or an Intel Core 2 Duo at 2.4 GHz. And that support of older hardware actually continues over to the graphics cards, because the minimum requirements are an AMD Radeon HT 3870 or an Nvidia GeForce 8800 GT. Recommended requirements, and these are actually lower than I was expecting, is a Radeon HD 7870 or a GTX 660. Now they were lower cards than I was actually expecting in terms of performance, but when you look at the graphics memory that you need, these cards kind of become a little bit irrelevant because they actually only have 2 GB of graphics memory in, whereas Battlefield 4 needs a recommended 3, but has a minimum of 512, so these cards are still going to be pretty relevant anyway. Now here comes the killer. Now I'm not sure if this actually includes the DLCs that they're planning to release for Battlefield 4, but you're going to need at least 30 GB of hard drive space to simply install the game. Now I really am hoping that that's including all the DLCs that they have planned, because currently as it stands Battlefield 3 installs at around 25 GB on my hard drive at least. And if it comes down to release date and that is the actual amount of data that I'm going to have to download in order to play the game, it's going to take a long time, and I'm really not going to be too happy about it. But then the Frostbite engine is very advanced, and we've expected that from Battlefield 3. It doesn't mean I'm going to be happy about it, but I guess we're just going to have to put up with it. So just after about 4 minutes of this commentary, I finally got round to the main point, and probably the reason why you actually came to this video, if you read the title, Battlefield 4, is my thoughts and opinions on the Battlefield 4 beta, which is just around the corner now. So the beta is going to be taking place from the 1st of October. Now that's the exclusive beta, so the way to get into that is that you have to have Premium for Battlefield 3, you have to have the limited edition of Medal of Honor Warfighter, or you have to have pre-ordered Battlefield 4. The beta then opens to the general public on the 4th of October and runs all the way through until October the 15th. For starters at least, we're going to be seeing Seas of Shanghai as the centre for the beta and the map that you're actually going to be playing, and that's going to be on Conquest mode. There's no confirmation if we're going to be seeing a second map included in the beta later on, and I imagine there will be, but it hasn't been confirmed yet. And that's all the information we have really, so now my expectation is it's got to be better than the one for Battlefield 3. I could not stand Operation Metro after a week of playing it in the beta. I absolutely hated it. You know, I was so relieved when Caspian Border came along that I actually had a proper Battlefield map to actually play. And I think they noticed that, which is why we've got Seas of Shanghai, and I'm really looking forward to that. Because Conquest is a massive game mode for the Battlefield series, one I really enjoy playing from time to time. And to be honest, I don't think I've ever seen a better urban map in the Battlefield series than Seas of Shanghai. And I think the reason they picked it is because it's got everything included to show off Battlefield 4 before it goes on general release. You've got vehicle combat, you've got rooftop combat, air combat, the new naval combat that's been reintroduced to the series, as well as good old ground combat with infantry as well. One other thing I'm really going to be looking for is the netcode, because in Battlefield 3 that absolutely ruined the game in certain situations. The client side hit detection and the client side vehicle registration, which always made for some funny glitches, really did need to be sorted out, but of course they couldn't change a huge amount after they released the game. Now they've already said they've done a lot of work on the netcode for Battlefield 4 and I'm expecting to see that in the beta, but I still think it's probably going to need some tweaking considering the amount of people that are going to be connecting to one server. You think you've probably got Germans, people from Finland, people from Sweden, people from Ireland, people from the UK, Switzerland, all connecting into one European server. I know from their playtest so far that they've probably only tested it on an internal connection. They probably haven't tested it a huge amount, well apart from the alpha, on an external connection over the internet. So this is really going to put some heavy stress under those servers, and some final tweaks are probably going to need to be made. Another key feature is of course balancing, and don't expect DICE to just completely ignore the weapon balance because it was complained so much about in Battlefield 3 that they're going to have to pay attention in Battlefield 4, whether they like it or not. Yeah, it's going to be a really hot topic in Battlefield 4. Specifically, they've already said that the Little Bird was completely overpowered when it was at Gamescom. They've actually already done some tweaking there. And this is probably a given for the beta, but so far in all of the footage that we've been seeing, there have been plenty of placeholders, whether it's weapon outlines, Russian voices, Chinese voices, whatever it happens to be. There were so many placeholders, it still looked a lot like Battlefield 3. I'm expecting those to be gone for the beta. We're going to be looking at a near polished game, and I want it to look that way so that I can actually play a game that I'm looking to buy. Might sound like I'm expecting a lot, but considering the Battlefield 3 beta was so poor, I'm setting my expectations quite high considering the amount of footage we've seen already and how good the game looks even before beta status. But anyway guys, I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions, so don't forget to drop them down below. And that is the end of this video, so as I say, likes and comments are always appreciated. But until next time, my name is Westy, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.